Welcome to the Charleston Marketing Podcast, powered by the Charleston American Marketing Association, broadcasting from our home base at Charleston Radio Group. Thanks to CRG, we're able to talk to the movers and shakers of Charleston, from economy to art, from hospitality to tech, and everything in between. These leaders have made a home here in the Lowcountry. They live here, they work here, they make change here. Why? Let's talk about it.
Hello, welcome to the Charleston Marketing Podcast, powered by the Charleston American Marketing Association, where we have conversations about marketing with the who's who of Charleston. We're recording here at the Charleston Radio Group studios. I'm Mike Compton, president of Roombo Advertising, GoRoombo.com, and your CAMA Director of Membership Experience. I have two guests today. I was very selfish and am the only host today because I wanted to talk to both Rhetta and Jared of In the Black Marketing. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, very cool. I awkwardly get to read the bio in front of you that you wrote.
Okay.
Poetically, I'm assuming.
Go for it.
Jared Black and Rhetta Cloyd are the owners of the award-winning Charleston-based firm In the Black Marketing and Consulting. With over 30 years of combined experience in driving profitability for their clients and capturing the attention of the target audience, this dynamic duo's core mission is to prevent other entrepreneurs from falling victim to what they call marketing malpractice. Ooh. Through operational and financial transparency, combined with cut-through creative and relentless competitive spirit, and an all-star team, they are disrupting the marketing game and generating legendary success for businesses and brands across the Southeast. I am going to start a voiceover from now on for In the Black, because I feel like I nailed that just
I think
now.
you did. I was like, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
You had it awesome. I was waiting for the sound effects.
That comes in post.
Maybe you can dub it in.
That comes in post. We can definitely. We have that capabilities now. Thanks for coming on the show and spending some time with me, and our listeners. Talk about you. Talk about In the Black. What is In the Black's mission? Jared, go ahead.
That's
start.
you. I have to look. Swivel my head this way.
We do have a mission statement, and shame on me. I probably should know it off the top of my head because I'm the one that came up with it. I think it's. I think our mission is to innovate, create, and implement, something like that. Shame on me. Maybe we could dub this out. But
no, this is good. This is a good practice here.
We are going through a website redesign right now, so
nice.
it will be on the website, and I think that's going to be a mantra for 2024 is to memorize our mission statement. But ever since we started In the Black, our mission has really been to do good, really, within the community, whether that's for our clients or for the community. So building a team around the marketing world and giving back to the community and providing what we like to say legendary results. That's what it's been.
Oh, he's got your mission statement in front of you there. This is great.
At In the Black, our mission is to innovate, create, and demonstrate revenue-generating pathways for our clients' long-term successes. So I got two.
Yay! Yeah. Good job.
See, that was a cool thing because it's very human of you as an advertising agency, marketing agency, to forget your own mission statement. Practice what you preach is such a tough thing to do, and mission statements are always kind of shifting a little bit, right? So your mantra this year is to learn your mission statement. That's awesome.
Well, and to put some focus back on our brand because it's been a minute.
We talked about that, right? How you're in the trenches. Thank you. Talk about that.
I mean, I think that's kind of like any industry, whether you're a chef or you're a masseuse. I mean, what you do in your day job, you don't really like to do in your free time. And so we're the same things. At the end of the day, we love being entrenched in other people's businesses and understanding exactly what they need, what they want, that oftentimes we have to inspect our own selves. And so, obviously, learning the mission statement is going to be one of them because repetition builds reputation.
I bet.
But at the end of the day, that's something that 2024's goal is to make sure that we elevate our brand assets as much as we do our clients.
Why is that important?
Honestly, at the end of the day, we can't tell our clients what they need if we're not modeling that on a consistent daily basis.
True.
And it's a website is a ever living, breathing thing that needs to be. It's like a baby. It needs to be birthed. It needs to be changed. It needs to be modified because it is constantly growing and changing and evolving. And so you can't ever just set something and let it go. Yeah. And it's been probably 3 or 4 years. And when we first launched it, we were like, "Wow, this is really cool. It looks great."
Of course.
But then you don't look at your own website every single day. But when you go back and you look and you analyze, you realize pretty quickly, yeah, we can do a lot better. In fact, we do a lot better every single day for everybody else. So that is our job now as the leadership team, to be able to carve some of that time out to do that, but obviously not letting it take away from our day job.
Yeah, right. How long have you guys been in the black?
So In the Black started in July of 2018, July 1st of 2018.
Okay.
I'll give you the quick backstory. So Rhetta and I have a previous career working together at iHeart Media, and I left in 2017. Rhetta left in 2017. We both went kind of different career paths. I went to work for Adams Outdoor Advertising, work out at Non-Compete, stayed there for about 8 months. Rhetta went and worked at Advantage Media, Forbes Books, in their publishing division downtown.
Sure.
I had a client from radio that said, hey, listen, I know you have your own LLC. I know you want to start your own marketing firm. You've always been my guy. Why don't you pitch me and tell me what I need to do? So I did. And, of course, he signs it on the spot and says, when can you start? I said, got to give 2 weeks. I got to, how about July 1st? All right, so that works. So I started in the black July 1st, kind of fumbled my way through the first year and a half, but picked up clients along the way.
Sure.
I was working with an oral surgeon. Robbie Kincannon from the South Carolina Stingrays called me. He said, Blackie, we've got a new owner. We've got a new owner.
And then a hockey rule, you have to add E at the end of
Did
everything.
you play hockey too, Jared?
I played in college just in a club team.
Oh, cool.
Not to the level of Rob and what the Stingrays compete on every week. But all that being said, picked up the Stingrays, started helping with their media buys, and then about a year and a half in, we're in 2019, and I found myself in a logo website project that I just couldn't get across the finish line. And I called Rhetta because she had started her own little side hustle marketing firm. She was kind of under the radar, working with a couple of brands. And I said, listen, you've got a designer, a graphic designer. I need help. I can't get this across the finish line. I'm losing faith in my clients, losing faith in me. Yeah. Can you help? Gave her all the specs, and her and our now creative director, Kate Goff, knocked it out in 48 hours. The client was ecstatic. I was like, holy cow.
Whoa.
That was great. Can we do more of this joint venture stuff? So fast forward into 2020, Rhetta had an opportunity to work with the Fitch family at Mount Pleasant Seafood, and she said, I'm going to bring you in. We're going to present ourselves as In the Black. And we went in, we pitched them, told them what they needed to do. They needed a new website. They needed to enhance their logo to celebrate 75 years of being on Shim Creek as a 3 to 4 generation family-owned business, and then pitched them a marketing strategy after that. They signed it, and we launched their website in April of 20. We all
April
know
1. Yeah.
we all know what was happening in April of 20 around the pandemic, and In the Black was pretty much born from there. The Fitch family had a banner year, the best revenue year that they ever had, and our business was growing, name was getting out there, and I said, we gotta like truly partner and bring you in on this thing. So
full team was 2020.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what networking can do for you.
Right? Collaborating is
join and merge two brains together, and obviously we had a comfort level there from having worked together for many years at iHeart, and it was an interesting dynamic because I was his sales leader and he was the star quarterback of the team, so to speak. And then it have an opportunity to shift and let the student teach the teacher too, and us understanding, because he had been in the agency business a little bit longer than I have. Certainly I had exposure with working with tons of agencies, New York, LA, even mom and pops here. They're vastly different, and there's no two businesses that are the same, particularly in the agency world.
So many fun questions. Where did you guys go to school for marketing and advertising?
So I went to school for golf management. Actually, I used to be a golf professional, but I got a business.
Come on, this guy over here.
I know,
man, after my heart. Okay, go ahead.
Was a business major, concentrating in golf management.
Okay.
Obviously took a marketing class in business, but I was in the hospitality industry with golf. And when Rhetta and the management team at iHeart back in 2010,
I think 2010.
Yeah, about 2010, 2011, they said, whenever you want to play golf for fun, you want to get into sales, give us a call. I didn't know what radio was and digital and all that kind of stuff, but I knew that I didn't want to work weekends anymore, so I took a leap of faith and entrusted all of my faith in the management and leadership team over there and got into sales, and the rest kind of just took off.
Yep. And then did you go to school for marketing and advertising, Rhetta?
Oddly enough, marketing is like the largest program, or one of the largest programs at College of Charleston now, but when I was there, I won't date myself and tell you when. But
you spearheaded the program.
Yeah,
right.
The closest thing that you could get to marketing was a communication degree, and they had two different tracks, which was corporate communication and media. And oddly enough, I didn't pick media. I was really interested in the corporation side. I think it's because of the big sexy title of corporations. I was like, oh, add that to the resume. That'll sound good. But at the end of the day, it just really gave me a love for business. It was a kind of a modification of a blend of business and communication and media and everything else. So I feel like that gave me some understanding on how the economy works and supply and demand and the psychology of how people make purchasing decisions.
Yes. So interesting, isn't it? It's interesting to know how agencies start and what backgrounds y'all had, because some agency owners, this slur is brought to you by High Tide Ortho. Go see Dr. Trev over. Forgive my Invisalign here.
I didn't even catch it until you said that.
Right, but I did. It's just interesting. So, some agencies owners, I can't say it. Some agency owners never even took a class in marketing and advertising. I'm a media production, telecom, communications degree. Not advertising whatsoever. It's just that was such a great moment, right? Learning everything, going to school and doing that, right? But then putting it to use and your own, for iHeart. Was iHeart your first job coming out of college then?
Yeah, I entered right into the workforce with iHeart because I had it. Honestly, I've loved content. I really didn't understand what that was, but I found myself
what
being
was it then though, right?
I found myself, I had a relationship with radio DJs, growing up. My mom would never let us have cable because she thought it was going to ruin us. And honestly, once I found cable in college, my freshman year with MTV, it probably did. I was watching more of MTV Cribs and things like that.
Yes.
But I loved radio growing up, so I had an affinity with that. Your imagination is greater than what you actually see.
Yep.
And so when I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do after graduation, it was a natural step for me to understand exactly how do people do what they do, what's the magic and the ingredient. And I was equally fascinated what was going on behind the microphone as I was what was going in
that's cool.
the sales and the marketing angle. And, I was able to be there for 15 years and got to see it in all different facets.
Oh, wow, 15 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time to stay at one place, isn't it? You don't hear
It
about
is.
that much.
And honestly, the evolution of just media and platforms in general, I mean, I saw when I first started, radio was just 60 seconds, and then it went to 30 seconds and 15s and 5s and audio imaging and jingles and traffic and weather and all of those different things, and then seeing how it launched into the iHeart Radio Music Festival and iHeart Country. And it was a great company, learned a lot, and I feel like that is essentially what we're all trying to do, is be a perpetual student of marketing. And even if I had studied deeply into marketing, I think a lot of that content most of it would be irrelevant now.
And then you learn as you go.
Yeah, you have to be a student.
Be a student constantly. I'm constantly learning. And I like podcasts in that sense, because I'm constantly can learn from different people, like today. Obviously, listeners, you can tell they're male, female, right? They, them. You want to do the pronoun thing?
Yeah,
I'm a he, him. Right?
That's right.
Yeah?
He's he, him, and I'm she, her.
There we go. Okay, so we got that out of the way. That's the first time we've done that. We should pat ourselves on the back for that one. Yeah. You're a male-female team. Why is that important in your culture, in your agency culture? What your partnership, and how does that work?
We probably going to have different answers because we
love
are male,
it. That's
female.
What you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Personally, I feel like it affords us the opportunity to have somebody challenge our thought process, and I think that's one of the key ingredients to a great marketing campaign. Is usually the first idea isn't the best idea. So if you're surrounded with like-minded people, you're often going to always come to the same conclusion. So it's nice to have somebody that is hardwired, if you will, a little bit differently than I am, so that they can give me resistance or give me feedback that maybe somebody who would be my peer or even culturally the same way as I do. I mean, there's so many vast differences, but we have a commonality. I mean, he's from the north, I'm from the south. He's a guy, I'm a girl. We have all of this blend and mixture, and I feel like the blend of the two of us together offers our clients a different perspective. Plus, when we're talking about target audiences, it lends itself to have both bases, covered.
Yes.
We want to talk to the guy who wants to drive a, Silverado or a high country, or you want to talk to a lady who's redecorating her home. So.
Right. Like what I was saying in the pre-pro was, like, if everybody is agreeing and saying yes, nobody in the room is really thinking through.
That's right.
The situation, whatever it is. What do you think, Jared?
I couldn't have said it any better, honestly. I mean, she touched on all the points. It's we are two completely different people. Some may say it's oil and water. Some days, I'm more or less say
Fire
it's,
and ice, probably more so.
fire and ice, or
they already can't agree on that. But go ahead.
That's
or peanut butter to my jelly. Some days.
There you go.
When things are really humming, they're humming. But business is hard at the end of the day, and I would say that we do a pretty darn good job of, staying within the rails with our team, with our clients. When there's good days and there's bad days, but you got to be there to support each other. I remember when I started this thing and was doing it by myself for the first year and a half, you really didn't have anybody to turn to,
Right.
Now having a partnership and someone of the opposite sex who I've worked with in the past, that we've got a depth of relationship. We're best friends at the end of the day too. You really kind of lean on someone and just say, hey, I need a couple minutes. I gotta vent. So it's worked thus far. There's no book out there on business and starting your agency. I'm sure Agency for Dummies, if you will. If not, let's trademark that and coin
do
it. But it just works. So
Or even have a partnership. That's something that I'm the researcher. I'm the reader. I love to read and consume as much information as possible, probably to a fault at times.
Sure.
But when we were talking about partnering together, I was doing a lot of research trying to understand obviously you can see the benefits of partnership. But what are the roadblocks? What are the potential hurdles? And there's really not, like you said, a guidepost to that. And honestly, when you're looking at local business owners, a lot of them are family owned. They have multiple dynamics. And so, oftentimes he might be the point of contact for this person inside the business, or I might be the point of contact. So it does help itself out, but he's right in the sense that it can get lonely when you're running your own company.
Yes.
That saying, lonely at the top.
Yes.
Now, it might be top of the molehill, or top of the mountain, but it's nice to have somebody that you can say, what the heck?
Yeah.
Or good job.
Honestly,
you don't have anybody to say, hey, good job.
I couldn't do what I'm doing without my business partner.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Shout out to George, if he's listening.
Yeah.
Yay, George.
I'm sure he is.
Better be
He's
listening.
best friend, best fan.
Talk about your team. You've grown since 2020. I've noticed it.
Yeah. We've been intentional. Obviously, like Jared said, I already had a partnership with Kate, who was actually a high school best friend, college best friend.
Yes. Trusting.
She's a lifer, and she's probably if she is my one call. If I have a one call, she is on that list because I know she's always going to answer. So that was intentional. But everyone else, when we said we wanted to build a team, we wanted to be super intentional because we'd lived in an environment and worked in an environment where there was a constant door of people going in and out.
Yes.
And that we know that the linchpin to anybody's business is the depth and strength of a team. And we grew up playing sports, and so we understood that, and we said, okay, this is the type of leader we want to be, and this is the type of team that we want to create. And we wanted to have that same mentality of whatever it takes, that mentality of if the job requires this, then that's what I'm going to do. Somebody that had that passion for the business and for the clients as much as we did. And we've been lucky, really lucky so far.
You guys do a lot more than just surface level advertising and marketing. You guys dive into the business, almost the business plan.
Yeah.
The financials?
Yeah. Yeah.
In some cases.
We have access to clients' POS systems, their data, all of that good stuff.
To find the team, you guys know what you love to do, and that's part of it, right? Diving deep in, finding what the root cause is, and then finding the solution. But how do you find the people that your team that also has that same passion? I'm sure, minus having a best friend since college.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to do it, whatever I say. This is what we need to be passionate about. She's truly committed.
But other people, other team, like as you grow and as you're looking for a new teammate, maybe in the near future, what are you looking for that can also carry that load of diving deep into the business models?
Yeah, I think it's important to touch on this, and I'm glad that you brought up this question.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whenever we hire for what we need, not necessarily what someone's wanting. So we're trying to. It's the old added saying of don't fit a square peg in a round hole. And we've been very intentional with who we hire. If corporate America taught us anything, it's slow to hire, quick to fire. Yep. Luckily, we haven't had to fire anybody since we started this business. But in that sense, we're very intentional with who we hire and for the things that we need, because each one of our clients has a different campaign. They have a different we have a different responsibility for those clients of what we're doing each and every month. We know what our responsibilities are and our requirements to that client. So it's our job as leaders to create, like you talked about, culture, growing the team, and telling them who we are, what we do, why we do these things, and what the end result is. The end result isn't necessarily success for us. The end result is the success for the client. And if we can get the client success, then we're going to retain that client, which is then going to result in success for us. So it's our job as leaders and the owners of the company to instill that culture and the why behind what we do each and every day. And I think that we've done a pretty good job of that thus far. We've obviously been able to retain our team, and although they don't have the tenure and the years of experience that
they have
we
the hard skills, though.
they have the skills, and with time they will adapt that.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the end of the day, the thing that matters most to me, and I could say this for him even though we didn't mention it just then, is character.
Yes.
Being able to understand where they come from, what's important to them, what makes a difference in their life, who do they aspire to be, who's inspired them thus far, and asking those types of questions versus, so tell me about your certifications and tell me about your this. Like, I can look
What
at
can you do
somebody's
for me?
portfolio, but I can't look and see, like, are you a good person? Are you
Right.
going to have my back? Are
Right.
you going to go into the trenches with me if I have to go into the trenches with me? And so we've been super fortunate to be able to identify those qualities in people through the interviewing process.
That's huge.
Because we want Swiss Army knives, people that have all kind of different tools. But I just want you to be a good human being at
That's
the end
it.
of the day.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Just finding that good human being that wants to get in the trenches with
That's
you.
right.
And then you can pop out and look about, and
That's right.
see what
That's
the
right.
future is after that. So what marketing malpractice and how everything that isn't shiny isn't always gold. How everything that is shiny isn't always gold. That's gold right there. I like that.
Thanks.
Talk about that. Marketing malpractice.
That's a Rhetta
Oh, now we have Rhettaphores.
Rhettaphores. That's one of her many
wow.
Rhettaphores.
She's cringing.
So this,
right
this,
now.
this is her
This is what
She's a
he's
bit
tagged.
cringing right
Yeah,
now.
I like to
Listener.
talk in word pictures, and he calls them Rhettaphores, which is kind of funny. Yeah. It's real. He doesn't give himself enough credit and creativity.
Yes.
He is definitely the mastermind behind the business and the operations. But
Sure.
I can even tell with his comfort level, he keeps. He's named 2 different businesses that we've worked with recently. They were struggling to find a business name. He popped it off just like that. So
I mean, we
Yeah.
all have our moments of
just have
glory,
to create that
right?
safe
Our moments
space of
It's right.
brainstorming.
Well, that's the important part. Like, especially when you're brainstorming, having a safe space. And it's like, oh, what about?
And honestly, with the marketing
Yes.
malpractice side of
Yeah.
things,
Where was that?
the way that we're able to achieve that is creating a safe space for our clients to be completely transparent.
Yes.
So when we meet with somebody and somebody presents themselves as saying, hey, I need marketing help, oftentimes that's disguised in, I have issues, I have problems, I don't know where to start, because they too are busy putting out fires every single day,
Yes.
or handling employees, or
Yes.
handling a customer that put a bad Google review, or whatever the challenge is. Sometimes when somebody needs marketing help, it is masked in what could potentially be shiny and gold. So that's our due diligence of being able to ask questions and create an environment where, one, they know that they can trust us, and 2, they can be vulnerable, because as business owners, we never want to show weakness. We never want to say, hey, we need help. But at the end of the day, if we can gain their trust, then we can offer a different perspective that maybe they can't see themselves, to the point of, we do secret shopping. We do even helping them with their POS systems, or what does their restaurant interface look like? Do they have the right imagery inside of the order form?
Yeah.
I mean, all the different facets that at the end of the day can make or break our business, because all we're going to be measured on is, did we generate more revenue this year than we did last year? But if the pictures weren't right on the menu, if the person who's answering the phone is in a bad mood every day between 12 and 2, if this person over here is chronically late and doesn't show up, all of those different things impact the bottom line revenues. So we have to do our due diligence first to find out, is it a marketing challenge,
Right.
or is it an operational challenge? And oftentimes we find that there is operational improvements that we can help create, but we first have to be able to, 1, get their trust, 2, pop up in the hood, inspect all the wiring, and say, okay, is this a tune-up or is this an engine rebuild?
Yeah. Right.
And sometimes it's the engine rebuild, and they're okay with that. But the last thing we're going to do is start marketing and press the throttle on a campaign when we know at the end of the day it's not going to be as efficient or work as well, or it might work for a small bit, but still the problem is going to continue to resurface
Yep.
because at the end of the day, that was a controllable that wasn't controlled. And that's our job to do that.
Yes. Preach on, Rhetta. Preach on.
Thanks.
Yes. Because you can have a bucket load of money and you can throw it at us all day long, but all the shiny stuff in the world is not going to fix your core issue.
You can relate it to the medical industry. I mean, you've got to walk in, you tell them the problems. It's up to them to be able to cover what is a real problem, or am I just going to write you a script and send you out the door and tell you good luck?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we found that a lot of folks do that. We've also understand the difference between really great salespeople and actual marketers.
Yeah.
And it's our job to be able to understand exactly what the end result needs to be and how long, and manage that expectation. It might not be we don't throw the throttle down until 9 months after we've engaged in a agreement, because we're having to figure out a new user interface or a website, or hey, you need to actually hire 2 more people, or you need to extend your hours. I mean, we've had clients that they were cutting their day off at 4:00, and I'm like, but no one gets off work until 5. So you've got to be able to be open for business in order for be able to generate those sales.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that at the end of the day that we feel like are super important, that if you don't address, you are committing malpractice.
Oh man. Don't look and say that to me. I'm not. No,
not you. You're great.
Oh, thanks, Rhetta.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly it. Like, the research is so important. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for the note.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I get so excited. It's like, bam.
It happens a lot, though. It does.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could go all day, and if you're not researching, and if you're not doing your due diligence into a campaign, into a business, then you're just spinning wheels and wasting money.
Exactly right.
What else? Being contagious, being viral. Like, there's so many great little topics here that I wanted to talk about. What do you want to talk about, Rhetta? Jared? Huh? You want to talk about inspect before you expect? You want to talk about being these are all Rhetta-fords, I'm sure.
They're all Rhetta-fords for sure.
I love it.
I could talk about the riches being in the niches.
Riches in the niches.
That's something that we talk about all the time. It's, rather than being all things to all people, it's better to be, you could either be all things to all people or be nothing to no one, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, you think of the old adage of, like, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, the original chicken sandwich. I mean, they do one thing they do well. They do chicken sandwiches. Raising Cane's. I love Raising Cane's business model. Who doesn't love their chicken tenders, by the way? You got 4 options, right? It's either the big box, the small box. You either get 3 tenders, 4 tenders, 6 tenders. Sorry, or just banging on the desk. 3 tenders, 4 tenders, 6 tenders, or a tender sandwich. And that's one thing that we try to tell all of our clients too is that the riches are in the niches. So when we're coming up with creative ideas, we're trying to look for different pathways to revenue.
Yeah.
It's let's use a restaurant for example, because I'm playing off of these fast food restaurants. If you are trying to create all these different menu items because you want to sell this and you want to sell that and you want to sell that and you want to sell that, it's like, why not just dumb it down and do volume for these 3 things rather than having a menu of 30 different things?
Right.
So the riches are always going to be in the niches and just, finding one thing and really kind of doing it well.
And identifying their superpower. I mean, every business, I think, has a superpower and something that makes them intrinsically different. And I feel like it's oftentimes when we don't know what to do, we go and look to the marketplace. And when I say we, business owners, look to the marketplace to see what everyone else is doing. And if they feel like they can do it better, they do. And if they don't, then they just replicate and duplicate. And it's at that point, what makes you different than this person?
Exactly.
So even though you sell this product, even though you do this same thing, what is it about your business that we don't know that we can then tell everybody else? Because I know you had asked us a little while ago about Miliori's, and that was something that is near and dear to our heart, and that's a great example of taking something that's super intentional and special. The Miliori families has
talk about Meg's Pizza real quick. Yeah, talk about the whole.
They're a fantastic family, and they are the benchmark and standard of how to be good human beings. And they've been super successful in their own right, and both Joanne and Don are successful in their current careers and former careers and all the other things. But they have Don has an older sister, Jill Marie, who has special abilities, and Jill Marie has obviously been the cornerstone of their family. She just celebrated actually her 65th birthday. We went the other weekend. But instead of Jill Marie being occupied during the day by
adult daycare,
adult daycare and things like that, they wanted to create a model or a business that really kind of married their two worlds together. The love of Italian cuisine. I mean, you can't get more Italian than Migliore.
Yep.
And then obviously Jill Marie. That really wasn't a focal point though when they first started the business. But that is by far and away the thing that they do. The way that they care for their family and the people that they love is the same way they care for their customers. And so being able to showcase that and do good and eat good, it's just been a slam dunk. And it wasn't necessarily something that was intentional on our part. It just kind of curated itself naturally.
Yeah, we had to find, like what Rhetta said, what their superpowers were, So as Rhetta mentioned, their previous career, they're in the legal business, but they wanted to be an Italian family. They have all these Italian recipes, and they wanted to open up an Italian restaurant, more so for a place for Jill Marie to go and work every day, so she didn't have to go to adult daycare. Jill has become the cornerstone and now the patriarch of that restaurant here in Mount Pleasant, where she gets to go to work every day. She's the first employee there. She is excited to go to work every day. She folds pizza boxes. She puts stickers on the to-go boxes. We even designed a pizza box that is curated. It's a custom pizza box, and it even says made by the special hands of Jill Marie and her team that are on the side of it. So taking one of their family members, giving them even more of a purpose in life to come to work every day, making that the story behind the marketing. It's really kind of elevated their brand. They now have over 3, 4, maybe even up to 6, depending on the summertime, of people that work at that organization, work at that restaurant, that possess some sort of special abilities, whether they're on the spectrum or not. And people love it. I mean, they're happy people to be around. Even the Migliore family sat on the board with the Mount Pleasant Chamber when the town of Mount Pleasant just won the All-American City Award. So they were
there for that, weren't they? Didn't they go travel?
Part of that initiative,
they went and traveled to where? Colorado.
They traveled to Colorado
to do what now? To the Mount Pleasant.
Essentially, when you present that, you have to present a big presentation. And part of that presentation initiative, what was making Mount Pleasant, the city of Mount Pleasant, special, or town, whichever way you want to.
Well, the mayor likes to call it the town of Mount Pleasant, but
it's city. And they were a part of that, and them being so vocal about what's important and how this community in itself is a community that are viable employees that can contribute to businesses that can help shape shift work cultures.
All about inclusion.
It's really, a lot of people talk about it, but what do you do about it?
Right.
And they really have done a lot and modeled that a lot, so much so, like Jared said, they've worked to recruit and they have exciting plans for the latter part of this year. With a new concept, and within that concept is going to be
new restaurant concept altogether.
We can't share.
No, I'm trying to dig in a little bit, aren't
I? But within that concept is going to be space dedicated specifically for those employees to continue to learn life skills. So it's huge, and they've honestly inspired us to continue to give back, not only to their community, but also finding other communities within Charleston as a whole of what can we do to help make a difference, because you put good juju out there, like Taylor Swift says, karma is real. So we've got a Swiftie. We've got to put good karma out there so it'll come back to us as well.
You were saying that wasn't the initial point, wasn't to have it the way it is now, but as good people talk to good people, that's just how things form, right?
Well,
you do the right thing at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And it comes together.
Well, it was their purpose to open it for Jill Marie, but it wasn't their purpose or their intention to talk about it. But at the end of the day, you couldn't get more authentic, and I think people have a radar for what's truly authentic and what's not.
Oh, especially now.
Yeah, nowadays. And so just sharing their story with purpose has created a new purpose under the Migliore brand, which is exciting.
It's great. I'm glad to hear that they're growing on that as well and having a different, a new venture possibly. I'm not going to say anything more than that. But they only not.
It's still going to be Italian. We'll just say that.
Okay, thank you. That's a good little tidbit there. We need a good Italian, like another Italian restaurant. Anyways, in Mount Pleasant, they did it internally, but they're also trying to grow that special abilities community, like how you say special abilities, we just did a mini doc for the Disabilities Board of Charleston, and the amount of work that they do at the Disabilities Charleston, they're covering like 1,600 different families, different members, and they put them to work.
Yeah.
So I need to connect the Migs with the Charleston, with the Evelyn Turner is her name.
Yeah.
She is amazing executive director. And Layla Luna, obviously you probably know her already. Layla, her son's on, and she owns, she started Just B. Yep. Yeah, everybody's heard of Layla. That's great. Okay. See, through the Mount Pleasant Chamber, I'm meeting a lot of these folks too. Just building community and doing the right thing and inclusion is so big. And it's not just in our little marketing world that I like to talk about, how we can collaborate and include everybody in the mix. But even with people with special abilities, even outside of our wheelhouse, we're always connecting and changing people's lives in one way or another, well, hopefully for the good.
Tying it back to marketing, it's content, right? It gives us something to talk about. And, with all the negativity that sometimes surrounds the world that we're in, it gives us something good and positive to talk about. And I think that's why it really kind of tugs at our heartstrings as well as, many other consumers. So, tying it back and bringing it full circle to the riches are in the niches. There's always a story, regardless of the business that you're in. You got to really uncover, going back to popping open the hood. What's the why? What's the reason? Why are we doing this? So.
And, I think as a whole, you have to be different in itself to be an entrepreneur. It takes a special person to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so what I found is that just asking questions and understanding why they did what they did and learning their story. It's crazy the things that it's like, how did you go from A to Z? And honestly, there's one key element in all of it. And I think it's just, there's no fear in failing because they all recognize that failure is a part of success. And so I have done my best as somebody who was always trying to present as, having things
together, right?
Yeah, leaning into failure and sharing when you have failures, and sharing when things haven't gone your way. Because if somebody can learn so they don't have to repeat that mistake, it's kind of like parenting. But you're getting to share all these types of stories with clients and understand their why and what other businesses have they gotten into. Because most of the time it's not just one business.
Right.
They've had different career paths, different exciting ventures. So I think that's what keeps us so passionate about it. It's because every day is completely different. Heck, every hour is different of every day.
Isn't that well?
Yeah.
Especially
as you know all too well.
That's
the fun part about marketing, but also the thing that's challenging is that frequency hopping and how well can you do that.
It takes a certain person, like my wife she's a nurse. She's a nurse navigator now at Roper starting next month, but she doesn't do marketing. Yeah. And we get along just fine.
She does people though.
She's in
the people business.
Exactly. What does it mean to being contagious? Because you guys already, when I read that, you're contagious in my world right now by doing good. The whole the big story, the building your team, even this how you guys began, how you collaborated. You were two separate entities, and then you got together because you both had certain strengths, right? Yeah. And you complemented each other, right? I want to talk about how being contagious in your eyes is something that doing good and seeing the ripple effect.
Sure.
Yeah. Especially in your employees.
Yeah.
Team.
Well, when we talk about being contagious versus being viral, it's because honestly, every person that we sit down with from the marketing perspective wants to go viral. It's like, how does this work? And they somewhat get confused about does the number of likes or does the number of shares equate to the bottom line revenue? And that's part of the education process. Is no one loves social media more than me. I'm embarrassed if you looked at my apps and my time spent on social media. Yeah. It would blow your mind.
I hate it when I get the update on my iPhone, like screen time went up 14%. Oh no.
No, my son, he's like, you're doom scrolling.
Yes.
There's no purpose.
Is that now become,
your it's like my stimming. I'm sitting there scrolling with my thumb.
Doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Your kid came up with that one.
Yeah. He's going to be a marketer one day.
Oh my gosh.
But at the end of the day, when we're sitting there and we're talking to clients and a lot of them in the beginning at least want to have their brand on social media. Great, we can help you do that. And then obviously understanding and educating them that virability doesn't always transfer to revenue. Yeah. But what are the key benchmarks? What are the markers that are really most important to the bottom line? And not to say that
It's not always ROI. It's not always money.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you'd rather count your profits than the number of profiles that have followed you. So, when we're sitting there and we're looking, it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes number of followers transfers to revenue, but it's not an all-time thing. And I would rather look and measure of what's really important. And sometimes we got to remind them, like, yeah, no, we grew your audience by, 12%, and we've got the engagement up. But there's some categories of businesses that it's not, the likelihood of us making you a social superstar is slim to none.
Right.
But we can make you a rock star in your personal life,
Yes.
With giving you opportunity and assets if we were able to generate the outcome from a revenue perspective. And we're able to do that. But, that's the buzzwords. I want to be viral. I want to do viral. And a lot of folks, can do that, make that happen. But that's not our primary concern at the end of the day. Our primary concern is profitability. Because even you can throw up big numbers. So we did X amount of million or 7 figures, 8 figures. But were you profitable?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you weren't profitable, if you spent too much money to make that happen, then
Yeah.
really what's the big number?
Right. And so sometimes I think, the way I read the be contagious part, though, is also just like be authentic, speaking your true self. And then the revenue comes.
That's right.
That's right.
A
prime example of that here in the marketplace, not that they're a client of ours, but I know Mr. Bill Watts on a personal level is Gerald's Tires and Brakes.
Yes.
They
treat the ladies right.
Yep. Always give them a rose. Smiles are always free, right? So, you got to give the Watts family, all the credit in the world for being able to compete in such a crowded marketplace of tires and brakes. So, being contagious of telling people over and over that they know how to treat the ladies. Smiles are always free, and we're just having fun, right? As opposed to
and nothing about tires and brakes.
Nothing about tires and brakes.
No, not
when my wife got the rose, I'm like, what who's giving you? What's going on here? He's like, no, they just gave me. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
They're contagious. They're not viral, and they don't need to be viral.
Exactly, because they're
And that's something too. When we're looking at inspecting, is like, what's going to be your talk trigger? What's going to be the thing that creates people to talk about you or want to post about you? And, there's a great book actually called Talk Triggers by Jay Bear. And
what is it now?
It's called Talk Triggers.
Talk Triggers.
Yeah, it's basically, it lends itself to say if you do business really, really well, you don't actually have to invest in marketing. And, I can make a case for either way. I could debate it.
I was going to say,
but if you are really great at service and you look at the people in our community who have built a brand off of what we call white glove service, that's how you become viral. That's how you become contagious, is when you do something and you do it super well.
Who's your catering client again?
Hamby?
Yeah,
Catering?
yeah. Iconic.
Iconic,
right?
They're a Charleston staple.
Yeah. When I see their brand, I think white club service. I think just really good food, and I think Charleston.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment to them. Candace and her team over at Hamby are great partners of ours, but they're a great example of how you can take something that is iconic, but add new ingredients all of the time and continue to evolve with the company. And what she's been able to do by the passing of the guard of Miss Fran Hamby, who started it in 1979, to Candace taking it over in, I think, 2017, she's inspiring as a female boss leader too.
Yep. Yep. So are you, Rhetta? How about that?
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're here
I'll
to
tell
inspire.
my mom. She'll love it.
Yes. Yes. We talked about a lot. Is there anything that you guys can give our listeners that's more of like, a key takeaway? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Stephanie's back there making sure I do what I need to do. Thank you, Steph.
Keeping
me on track, as a woman will do, for sure. Touche, guys. Touche.
That's right.
So I was wondering about, key takeaways, especially for a younger type of marketer and advertiser. These kids, these young adults that are coming out of the College of Charleston. I noticed are you there a lot? Are you adjunct there too? Or
No, not yet. That's my retirement plan if I can help it.
Same. I gotta get my master's first, but yes.
But at the end of the day, I still am very involved. I'm actually still involved in my sorority.
Oh, is that what it? Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm able to mentor different young women who are across the Southeast. But
right,
in terms of advice,
and I'm sure 90% of those are marketers.
A good bit.
I can believe it.
Yeah,
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
yeah, a good portion of them want to be influencers.
What do you say then? Yeah, influencers. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, what I tell them is that you can't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid to ask for help, and you can't be afraid to try something that you've never done. And that, honestly, I think is bode well for me and Jared in our business, because what I knew how to do in 2003 when I entered into this field is completely different than what I do now. And if I wasn't a perpetual student, like, I cringe when somebody says expert.
Yes.
Our call refers to me as an expert because no one's a marketing expert. You can't be. At the end of the day, you
My
have
favorite
to.
was an AI expert.
Yeah.
And who was giving certifications in this?
It changes all the time.
How
You can't be
are
an
you?
expert.
So anyways, that was a little thing.
And if you're an expert, enjoy the 12 minutes because something's going to change by the time we get off of this podcast.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to be a perpetual student.
Yeah.
I think, and honestly, anything that you do, whether you're in medicine or legal, precedence is being set in different scenarios and different categories of business every single minute of every single day, and there's something new to be learned.
Yep.
And it's up to us as marketers, I think, to share repeatable successes. And allow everybody to put their own flavor and their own spin on it, but also, to my younger self or to the youth, I would say that you need to have a hard skill, which is something that's completely different, I think, from when I was coming out of school. We learned a lot of theory, but I need to see what you can do.
Right. Right.
I need to see if that's great that you took a class about Google.
Yeah.
But what can you do with it?
Yeah.
So getting those hard skills, and that's, to me, now I look at those, that's everything I'm saying. I'm like, go to Google University, get the certifications through Google, get the certifications through Meta. There's like 7 of them that are free. So do all of those things
Adobe,
and learn. Yeah. Find a hard skill and be great at it.
Yeah.
And be fantastic at it. And then you'll be undeniable and probably the highest paid person in the room if you're the best at that particular skill.
Yep. The riches are in the niches.
That's right.
And then dovetailing off of that,
Yeah.
my key takeaway to anyone listening would be, we're in the people business. Regardless of the type of business that you're in, you could be in the restaurant business, you could be in the medical business, you could be in the car business, you could be in the radio business. People buy people at the end of the day. And certifications are great. I don't want to discount that. I went to college. I got a 4-year degree, 5.5 actually.
Same. Yeah.
But
Same, 5-year club.
yeah, that's right. All that being said, school doesn't teach you how to interact with people. And I think it's so much more important now. And even as a marketer, any marketers that are listening, they might be cringing when I say this, but we're so connected to our screens. We just talked about screen time.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to look at my screen time that it's 8 hours a day, right? Well, I'm in marketing, so I got to look at it. I got clients that are texting me and calling me and doing all this other
Emails are part of the screen time in this thing, by the way.
But
That's right.
You got to separate yourself, and you got to separate yourself from the iPads. You got to separate yourself from the phones. And I know it's difficult, but we talked about networking. You got to get out there and you got to network. You got to talk to people. You got to be engaging. You got to have some sort of personality. I understand introverts and extroverts, but get out of your comfort zone. Like Rhetta said, teach yourself something new, and that teaching yourself something new might be people's engagement and interaction. I always attribute the golf business. The golf business has launched me to where I am today. When I was 24 years old, I was running a golf operation, and I was hiring and firing kids that were 16 years old, and then managing people that were semi-retired well up into their 70s. I'll be damned. I'll tell you that business taught me more than any college class or any marketing class could have ever taught me. It's to how to interact and how to engage with people. So anybody that's listening, the key takeaway is you're in the people business. Treat people right, do the right thing, always do what you say you're going to do, and never overpromise and underdeliver.
Ooh, that's it.
And
people business.
Those aren't metaphors.
They're not. Those are all Blackies isms,
Blackie-isms.
whatever they are. But
awesome.
and it's a great reminder too, because I don't have a challenge paying attention. I have a challenge regulating my attention.
Yeah.
And I get laser light focus sometimes down the research path, or down the trial and error path, and that's another thing that lends itself well. It's like, look up, just look up.
Exactly.
And just the perspective of having somebody say, look up. He'd even say, smile. Like before we're walking into a class, because I'm so focused on what I'm thinking about or what idea has got me excited that I forget that a smile can just go a long way and make somebody feel comfortable to tell you all the things you need to do to be able to help them.
It's a game face, okay, right. People? I don't have to smile, all right? It's a game face.
That's
I'm
right.
But that smile does go a long way for sure. And it kind of put like you're both together. You're both inputs there. I was at a College of Charleston marketing thing the AMA did not too long ago, where it was a mentor-mentee thing, and so it was like a speed dating thing. So please do it next time.
Cool. Yeah.
You guys weren't there that time, right? No. We'll do it next time. It was an amazing experience talking to these young people, and I said, okay, I'm building a team. Yeah. It's going to be. I'm making it up. The chess team needs a logo. Mm-hmm. I'm building a team because I need a portfolio, and this is going to be. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, what are you going to do? What's your part of the team? You're on my team right now. What are you going to bring to the table? Mm-hmm. What kind of hard skills do you know? Like, or are you just the organizer? Are you the producer? Like, find out what you're good at.
Yeah.
Hone in on it. Learn everything else. Find out what you're good at. Hone in on it, and then build your team. Treat people the right way. Ask them for help. Right? Like, just kind of put yourself out there so they can put themselves out there. That's so right. That we can all make this great chess logo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you know, as a kid, you don't have experience, but you can make it up. Yeah. And you can build the team. And like I said, you can go to the volleyball team and say, hey, do you need something? Or anybody, whatever. Sure. You know, like, what's your passion? Just make shit up.
That's right.
And then build.
Well,
and then grow. Practice.
They may not have marketing experience, but you know, we're a mosaic of all of our different life experiences. And every life experience can be applicable to a business lesson. Yeah. You've just got to help sometimes connect the dots and find the common thread. And, you know, somebody that can do that well that's what connects me to them, is somebody that can find the thread in the storyline. Yeah. And make that the most interesting thing. It's even when I watch TV or movies or whatever else, you know, like Will and Grace, Jack and Karen were to me the stars of the show versus Will and Grace, because they took that thread of storyline. There's no small parts. There's no small roles. There's no small experiences. Yep. How do you leverage what you do know and make for maximum impact? So,
In the Black. I like it. In the Black. So obviously the last name, but you know, In the Black, you know, you're doing a financial thing there. What are we doing with?
It's the play on words. I'll
play on words there.
Story, since it's his name.
You can't operate a business in the red. You can only operate a business in the black. So
you got to go to In the Black marketing.
That's right.
Yes, I love it. That's great.
Thank you.
What else you guys want to talk about? We can wrap it up. I mean, I'm having a great time.
I'm gonna take callers, like caller 9.
Caller 9.
I'm just kidding.
Can we go live on the board?
No.
We can take reviews though. That makes me think about you can make comments as well.
All nice, though,
right? all nice for sure.
Yeah, no, it's funny because, like I told you, I love radio. So the fact that, you know, sitting behind the mic, I'm like, let's go.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep talking.
Well, we'll have you on next time. You know, season 2. You know, this is our first season. We got multiple seasons.
You know, it'd be fun is if you had employees of the different people that you've had on here, get their perspective, because I'm sure they would talk
crap about you, wouldn't they? They'd be like, they said, what?
Well, I'll tell you, our team members are probably a lot more entertaining than we are, for sure.
Nonsense.
Yeah, no, they have their own personalities, and
that's a great idea, though.
Yeah, it'd be funny just to get their perspective too at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure they have a lot to share.
Yeah, you know? Honestly, I love hearing their perspective on particularly our 2 team members who I would say are 4 or 5 years post-college. The advice that they would now give to somebody, and they do, because a part of our hiring process is actually including our team. So we vet out different resumes and things of that nature, but then we also send basically like a personality test, but it's not a personality test like the Enneagram or anything else. It's like, who would you want to go to dinner with? What's your favorite book? Like,
just get to know them.
Just get to know them. Like, are they going to tell me some literary masterpiece, or are they going to be truthful and tell me it's the trashy novel that they read? You know, it's just those things that intrinsically make people unique. And so if they take that initiative to actually fill out and answer those 10 questions, that right in itself weeds out the pool, because some folks just won't even take the time to fill out. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 steps. Rhetta has implemented this 3-step hiring process.
Love it.
And the last step, and I think that this is important, goes back to the culture that we had talked about. Your last step, your last interview process is interviewing with the entire team outside of Rhetta and I. Now, as a small business, right, that's got a team of 6. Like if we were a corporation, I couldn't imagine someone interviewing with 20 or 30 people.
Yeah.
But it's worked well up until this point. Well, why is that important? Well, we got to work together every day. We got to communicate.
Yeah.
You got to be present. You got to talk to people. We're not working remotely. We ask people to come into the office. As marketers, we got to collaborate. We got to come up with different ideas. So that's kind of the last step in the hiring process, and it's boded pretty well for us thus far. So.
And it's interesting to hear their take, because part of the role is that they do a kind of like a roundtable interview, a roundtable Zoom.
They rate them.
And I give them assess.
Rating,
yeah, they assess different things about their personality that they like and don't like, and
either swipe right or swipe left.
Yeah, and then the notes and the columns, I'm like, but you can't share. This is a collaborative effort, but you can't share.
Yeah,
and it's interesting the things that they
pick up on it.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have that level of collaboration, and we wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't a tight knit family, so to speak, and even our office is an open air office space, so that we can just look up and say, hey, what do you think about this, or read this, or how's this going? That's the stuff that you can't get through a screen. You have to look up and have that interaction. Man, our team's special.
Yeah, and
they're
all local.
They're all here. Yeah,
nice.
They're all here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Why Charleston?
Ooh.
For you, where are you from again?
So I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Went to school in North Carolina.
Okay.
Moved here in Charleston in 2009. And, growing up in a small town in Pennsylvania, growing up in a single-parent home, it proposed its own challenges, whether it's, not making a sports team or, not having a father figure that's always kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't kind of hang my hat on that stuff, but, sometimes you got to go away and see other parts of the world to really kind of understand like what's out there and how you can appreciate where you've come from. And one thing about Charleston, I moved here, as I mentioned, in 2009, and I was in the golf business. And golf has given me an opportunity to network. Obviously, getting into sales, working for iHeart, has expanded my network to see business owners and other types of businesses and industries and networking. And one thing that I've always done, because I come from a very small family, I don't have any siblings, it's my mom and I and then my uncle, is I looked at my friend group as my family and my network as my family.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier in the pre-production meeting that if you embrace Charleston, Charleston will embrace you. That's not just with business, that's with giving back within the community, that's within the golf network, it's with restaurants. I mean, you see it the food and beverage scene here is it's amazing.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a local bar guy,
right.
you're not
Foodie,
going to catch me
at
a bar for happy hour, but when you go into these local places and the bartenders know you or the servers know you, I mean, Halls is a prime example of culture and embracing you. But what bad is there to say about Charleston? And that's rhetorical. No one can say anything bad about Charleston. The people, the culture, the community, the history that's behind this city, and now the big business that continues to move here. I mean, there's no other place that I'd want to be. I've worked all over this country. Charleston's it for me. So whether it's marketing or picking up trash, this is it.
We're going to keep this marketing thing going for a while.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. I love that. If you embrace Charleston, Charleston will embrace you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true. And I've seen the evolution of Charleston. I came here in the fall of 1998. I'm from a very small town called Lugoff. That is where the lug came off the truck.
Okay.
It is not a town. It's not a city. It is a community.
Okay.
And it is the most special place. We call it God's country.
South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina. Okay. So if you were going between Columbia and Florence, about middle way is where Lugoff is. Lugoff Elgin.
Shout out to Lugoff.
That's right. LA Demons. That was our mascot.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole group that wanted to change our mascot for years because
the demons
did not translate well in the Bible Belt. But
small plug: Rhetta was the 2022 commencement speaker for the high school graduation of the Lugoff.
Yeah.
All right.
Elgin.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was came a long way from a teacher that called me average.
Well, she didn't know shit anyway. I mean, she didn't know what she was talking about anyway.
Right. Again, that's why I'm so passionate about trying to figure out what it is about somebody's superpower, because it may not be reflected on a standardized test.
100%.
But the reason why I'd like to say I chose Charleston before Charleston was cool, is because I had parents who actually were lovers of American history. And because I was the surprise baby, I had the opportunity of benefiting from having older siblings, but also having my parents, just the two of them. And when I was really little, when we vacationed, we would go to Myrtle Beach. But as I became older, obviously, they would expose me to Charleston. And I just fell in love with history. And I am a big believer that if you don't learn from our past, that we're going to repeat it. And so understanding how, America came to be, how Charleston was so important to the founding of this country. And not only, you talk about entrepreneurship, this is where it was. And the College of Charleston being the first ever municipal school, college in the country to exist.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's I fell in love with it. I remember I was 13 years old. I came to Charleston, walked through the Cistern Garden, saw this written in Latin. Actually went back, looked in the library in middle school. This is how my brain works. I wasn't studying for my English test, but I was going to look, what does this phrase mean?
In the library that has a Rolodex of books that, not the internet, not right. Google.
That's right. The periodic table and all the fancy. Yeah, we can go back.
Thank you.
Was this word written in Latin, and it was to know thyself.
Okay.
And that is above the cistern. That's, and honestly, I think that's the kind of the story of College of Charleston. You walk in and you don't know really who you are, but when you walk out, you do, and you understand exactly how the city can impact you and how the history of this country. And I think you buy a product, you get a minor in history by going there, even if you don't take a class, because you're learning something new every day if you just stop, pay attention, and read what's on that placard or what's on that wall.
Yeah.
And so I've just honestly fell in love with it, and to see the change and the evolution is really cool. And with the explosion, obviously, of the digital age, it just opened up the door of so much more. And so, I think tourism is great. It's the cornerstone of this city. It always has been. But it's the spirit of Charleston, I think. And, you've seen it time and time and again when you're not supposed to be strong, when you're not supposed to be a community, when you're not supposed to, have this positive attitude. Somehow Charleston in itself inspires people to be their best self.
Sure.
And I think College of Charleston at least was the foundation for me for that way, and I think it just has that ripple effect through the city. So it's not a university or college that is in the middle of the city. It's the college and university that's the middle of the community and the culture. And I'm just really fortunate and blessed to be able to have gone there. And it's still pretty cool to be able to turn around the corner and walk the same streets that I did when I was 18, 19, 20, saying, maybe one day I'll have a business down here. Maybe one day I'll have, And if it weren't for this guy, I probably wouldn't.
Aww,
so
see?
I appreciate the fact that the business side of things, I can think of some cool things, metaphors, if you will, but he can bring them down from 30,000 feet and make them turn into a reality. So it's a great perspective.
That's a true partnership.
That's right.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Know thyself?
No, to know thyself.
To know thyself?
Yeah.
That should be your mission statement.
You know what? That'd be a lot easier to remember.
I'll bring that around for you, Jared. My bad.
I appreciate it.
That's good. I deserve it.
No. I just hope they stay in the podcast long enough to listen to get to the good part.
Yeah, right? So, exactly. Exactly. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Right? This has been a lot. Is there anything on your heart, on your mind that you can, because Charleston, to your point, is brought the best side of me out. I can feel that. Okay. So you're right. Charleston just brings out the best. And your point of, if you embrace, it'll embrace you. All that's true. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I think it's important to just say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to you and Stephanie and the American Marketing Association for Charleston chapter for having us and continuing for us to be a part of the organization. I know that we're not as active as we'd like to be, because we're a lot down.
But we're getting out of the trenches.
But we're getting out of the trenches.
You do Spark? You guys
We
join
do
Spark?
Spark. We do
We
Spark.
Hey.
do. And I actually do
yeah.
take advantage of a lot of the blogs and the resources that are available to us digitally through our membership.
Oh, good.
I'm just not as able to go to the before or after hours,
mean-
but that's our commitment again to ourselves this year is to get out of the trenches a little bit more.
We are looking for leaders, so I will take you on that commitment.
Yeah.
Because not if and I understand the agency owners and myself, you don't have the time. You have employees that might want to
Absolutely.
help and become leaders in some way or another. Yeah, I'm asking you guys for sure.
Yeah.
But I understand if and to other agency owners, we are always looking for leadership in the organization. I think you and I said it at a Spark where like steel sharpens steel. Like we're all in the same boat together, but and we're not competing for the same clients, even though sometimes that might come across. But we're all specialized in different things.
Yeah.
We all work together. And
Absolutely.
make this community even better,
Yeah.
even stronger as a marketing team.
For sure. I think it's important too to thank our clients.
Yeah.
Without our clients, Rhetta and I and the rest of our team wouldn't be here. I mean, they embrace us. It goes back to Charleston. I'll give a shout out to Dr. Jason Hare. He took a shot on me back in 2018, and then Rob Kincannon, 90 days later, and then obviously we mentioned the Miliori family, Hamby Catering.
Yeah.
The list could go on and
The
on.
list could go on and on, but if it wasn't for their continued trust and support in our team, we wouldn't be able to take time out of our day to be here and talk about our success and what we've seen and how we've been able to grow and what really the future holds for not just us, but them and why their success is so important to us. So
That's great. You guys are doing something right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
We
hey.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, we got applause.
Yeah,
Stephanie,
keep going.
applause.
Clapping. We need a light.
Yes.
Keep clapping. Applause.
Rhetta, Jared, thank you so much.
Thank you. We
It's our
appreciate it.
pleasure.
It's fun.
I hope so. I hope you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
You can tell me later if not. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Charleston Radio Group and the Charleston American Marketing Association. And if you're interested in sponsoring or being a guest in the show, feel free to reach out to Mike at charlestonama.org. Like and subscribe is what I was going to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Like and subscribe and make a review. If you could, please, that'd be great. And until next time, listeners, we'll talk to you. Thanks. Bye. Bye, guys. Thank you so
Bye.
much,
Thank
Rhetta and
you.
Jared.
Thank you.